talking to people about coming to learn the Gospel of John. So we learned already here at our church, the point that John wrote this Gospel was that people would see the signs or read about the signs that Jesus did, and after they saw the signs, what did John want them to do? Anybody remember? What was the point? That they would? And after they believed, they would have what? Life. That was the point, okay? So we want people to believe in Jesus. Now, many people that we're going to talk to today do not believe in Jesus. That's perfect. They're the kind of people that we're looking for, okay? So they're going to kind of think, well, I'm not a church person, I'm not a Christian person. Yes, this book was written for you. You're the kind of person who needs to read the Gospel of John. Nod your head if that makes sense, if you're tracking with me, okay? So don't let people put themselves in a box of already irreligious or already not a believer. If they've never read the Gospel of John, then how do they know? If they've never come to a church and heard about Jesus being preached, then how do they know they don't believe in him if they've never even given him a chance? Everybody understand the basic logic of our what we're trying to say here? So we're trying to get people to just come and see, okay? Come and check it out. So you're in John 14. Let's all read John 14, verse 6. Everybody, ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Jesus said to him,
I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. You think that's a pretty important verse for everybody to know? Well, hey, you cannot believe in Jesus, but he said he's the only way to get to the Father. So everybody needs to deal with the claims of Jesus Christ, that he is God, that he died for sin and rose again, and that he is the only way to be saved. So that's what we want to do. Now, there's a couple of different approaches you can take. The first is, we got a lot of kids here. Let's give a round of applause for the kids. Thanks for coming out. The kids are the real MVPs of door-to-door evangelism, okay? Can I see every kid? Show me if you can smile. Let's do a smile check. Okay. Hey, some of you guys aren't smiling. We're going to send you home. Or we're going to leave you here at church, all right? All we need the kids to do is smile, and then maybe the kids can do some of the important jobs of ringing the doorbells. Very important job. And then also handing the flyer, okay? Somebody with a beard hands you a flyer? Maybe not. A kid hands you a flyer? 100% acceptance of flyer ratio, okay? So, the goal is we start with the flyer. Now, there's a couple of approaches that you can take from there. One is, because we've never done this area before, you can say, hey, we're a new church, and we came to invite you. We want you to come and see what God's doing. We've been around for 1 year. It's been awesome. You should come check it out, okay? So you can use the church approach and introduce us as a new church, and then say, well, do you go to church anywhere? And try to keep the conversation going that way. The approach that I want us to use more in year 2 is I want us to use hey, we're studying the Gospel of John. Have you ever read the Gospel of John before? Have you ever really read the Gospel of Jesus Christ, that he died for your sins and rose again? What do you think about Jesus? That's the way I'd like us, everybody nod your head if you're tracking with me, okay? That's the way I'd like us to get in the conversation. And you can just, as quick as this, you can be like, Jesus said that he's the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody gets to the Father except through him. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a true statement? Boom. It's that straightforward. Maybe you've already got your finger in John and you're on chapter 14, verse 6, and you open it and show it to them using the little Gospel of John. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, here's the thing. We can't afford, each one of these Gospels is about $1 that we're handing out, okay? So we're not going to give everybody in the city of Garden Grove a Gospel of John today. I don't even think that's the way we should do it. I think what we want to do is, if you give somebody a Gospel of John, that means you think you're having a good conversation. You think they're interested. And here's what I'm going to ask you to do. You give somebody a Gospel of John, you got to follow up with them later and ask them if they really read it. Does that make sense to everybody? Anybody else got sweat going into their eyes right now? So, does that make sense? You got to get their name, their address, their phone number, something, so that you can either show up again at their house some Saturday morning or call them someday and say, hey, remember me? I came to your house. Yeah, did you ever read that Gospel of John? Hey, what did you think about it? Does that make sense to everybody? So you can hand out as many Gospel of Johns as you think people are really going to read. You just got to follow up with every single one of those people that you give the Gospel of John to. That's the commitment that we're making when we hand out a Gospel of John, okay? So, does this sound like something everybody can do? Key thing is be friendly. We don't want to give anybody a bad impression about Jesus Christ today. Let's make sure we always speak with gentleness and respect. So we're going to start breaking you up. We're going to make sure, again, raise your hand if this is your first time, okay? Raise your hand. In fact, I would like everybody who this is your first time to head towards our sign and our cross over there. So just because I want to make sure everybody who's here for the first time gets with somebody who's done this before. So if you've done this before, move on over here to this. And I guess I'm saying if you've done this before with our church. I know some of you guys have done this before, but maybe not with our church. So if you haven't done this before with our church, maybe head on over to the first time category.